for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs!
And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
What a difference a night makes, huh? 2 games of 24 hours for the Montreal Canadiens after only 13 shots versus Utah Hockey Club last night in a 3-2 overtime loss. The Montreal Canadiens go to overtime again, this time in Columbus tonight, and this time on the winning side of things. Captain Nick Suzuki, we called him out yesterday on the Sick Podcast. He was one of many. As a matter of fact, we called out their work ethic last night, and yet again, what a difference 24 hours makes because the Canadiens work tonight. You see the T-shirt I'm wearing? Passion and energy is what it says. It's sick attire, and even if the Montreal Canadiens would have lost this game in overtime, I can tell you that I would have worn the same shirt. Even if they would have lost the game in the third period, I put it on after the second period. So even if they would have lost the game in the third, you know what? I would have worn the same shirt because the Canadiens tonight played with passion. They played with energy. It wasn't perfect, but it was a huge improvement over last night. Speaking of last night, I thought we had a particularly great Sick Podcast last night with former Montreal Canadien Maxim Lapierre. When the podcast was over, Agnello called me and he said, "How are we going to do better than that?" And I said, "It's going to be pretty tough." So he said, "Why don't we bring Max back?" I said, "I'm not going to ask Max to come back 2 nights in a row. I mean, the guy deserves a break." So Agnello contacted him instead. And Max said, "Yes, let's bring him in." Former Montreal Canadien from La Poche Bleue, Maxim Lapierre.
What's up, Tony? Was I better tonight, bud?
You look a lot like Kirby Doc tonight. What is that exactly?
What's up?
Your microphone, the sound was going a little bit off, but I think it's better now.
Is it better now?
I think you're gonna have to put that microphone down. Where'd you get that mic?
The same I used yesterday, Tony.
Oh, is it the same mic you used yesterday? Yeah. All right. Okay. We have a little bit of an echo tonight. I'm not so sure if everyone else has it as well, or if it's just me, but I'm hearing a little bit of an echo. Let's see what they say back at Master Control. Are you hearing? They say it's good. So Sammy says it's good. Perfect. All right. Okay. Let's start off with our sponsors. Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Want to give them a shout-out, as well as Playground. Step into the world-renowned poker experience at Playground, where free food and drinks at cash game tables. That's right. Free food and drinks at cash game tables. A bad beat jackpot, weekly promotions, daily tournaments, unmatched customer service await you. Why play anywhere else? Just minutes from downtown Montreal, across the Mercier Bridge. Playground. I'm actually excited the Canadiens are playing an afternoon game on Saturday. This way I get to go to Playground early on Saturday night. And Bittt Tibi, who launched their new Ultra Lager. It's a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer. Perfect for cool fall days. Only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can. Available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. Ultra light, ultra refreshing. Max, I'd be willing to bet that the way we finished off the show last night, with your either speech or plea or cry for, you make a lot of money, you make millions, you play a game, you know, you travel first class, you eat well, you live well. All you got to do is show up to the rink and play and work hard for 20 minutes of hockey. I'd be willing to bet that some Montreal Canadiens players, executives, coaches, staffers, some of them saw that last night. I'd bet the house on it. I'm not telling you that that's why they played the inspired hockey they did tonight. Or maybe they did. Who knows? But I think your message was loud. I think it was heard. And I think the Canadiens responded tonight.
Well, they definitely played better. And, that is the reason why we were mad last night, right? Like, you see when they decide to put the work boots and they decide that they're mad. I'm not saying it's perfect, but this is the standard we're supposed to see. Because don't get me wrong, like, Columbus is not a bad team. Columbus is really fast, and we'll get to that later, but I was talking about speed last night, but they played a solid game. Guys, like, the perfect example, you just compare the two overtimes, last night and tonight. Last night is a lack of effort, lose your guy, get beat one-on-one, lose your guy in front of the net. Tonight, great back check by the captain, turn it over, scores a goal, go to the net on his second chance. That's exactly how they can play. They can't do it every night. It's a decision. You have to decide that you're playing that way.
Yeah. Suzuki responded because Matthew Chouinard called him out earlier today also on BPM Sports Radio. We called him out and we said, he's the captain. He has to be the example. We know he's not going to be the vocal leader in the locker room. There's going to be other guys that are going to do that. When he was named the captain, they named him the captain because they said, here's a guy who plays hockey the right way.
Yep.
Here's a guy who plays a 200-foot game. Here's a guy who could be a great example because of the discipline in his play. This year, he surprised a lot of us, maybe even disappointed. Disappointed most of us by not having that particular work mentality all the time. Matthew Chouinard said today, you can't have your captain take 1 out of every 3 games off. And he responded because tonight he worked. You talked about the back check on Kent Johnson, and there's a turnover. It leads to a 3-on-2, and he gets the pass from Lane Hudson, who, by the way, I thought Lane Hudson played a really, really good game tonight. He takes a wrist shot. He pounces on his rebound. But tonight, all those things that we're seeing, the goal that Heineman scored, that goes from Armia to Evans, a real hard pass right on the stick, flying down the left wing, puts his head down, his shoulder down, his right leg out, and it's a power move that he made to the net. Josh Anderson used to score goals like that in Columbus. Now, Anderson wasn't perfect tonight, but Anderson came to work too. I thought Anderson had jumped tonight. And you know what? Marty St. Louis, when we talked about coaching or lack thereof last night, Marty St. Louis didn't like what he saw last night. And guess what? Line change. Let's take a look at the Canadiens lines tonight, Max.
And you know what, Tony, like I like the lines tonight because I feel, before you say anything, I feel like we put everyone that needed a hard worker on the line. If you're lazy a little bit, they put somebody that works really hard with you. And I feel like they were taking them to the fight,
Yeah, okay, so let's get to that. Let's keep this up. Suzuki with Newhook and Caulfield. That line remained unchanged. Dvorak with Gallagher and Slavkovsky. Doc centering the third line with Anderson and Joshua Roy. Evans with Armia and Heineman. Hudson, Gooley on defense. Jacki Savard, Struble, Barron. Caden Primo got the starting goal. Once again, Mike Matheson, who traveled with the team, was unable to go tonight. But, I know that Kirby Doc finished -1 tonight, and I know he didn't pick up points, but he was better than he was last night. 63% in the circle. I just thought he was more involved. I saw more effort from him.
Yeah, and let's be honest here. It's not going to take 1 week to just change everything. We're unhappy with him. That's one thing, but the process is going to be long. Like, he needs to start with a game like tonight where he's a little more involved, and the next game he needs to start building on this game, and I think that's a good thing they've done with the lines tonight. Like, we've been talking about Marty St. Louis' job last night, like the way he's coaching and all that, but if we can see the lines again, you put Gallagher, let's be honest, Gallagher, Dvorak, and Anderson, even if we're disappointed in a way, like the way they're playing in their own career, they were playing really well as a line, right? They were intense, they were working. So Dvorak and Gallagher, they pulled Slafkovsky, just had to go play, and the other guys were worrying about forecheck and positioning. Same thing with Doc. You put Anderson and Roy, who is confident coming from the minors, and then you put Armia with Evans and Heinemann. So we kind of, what we've done tonight, we added hard work and speed on every single line. Same thing with New York, even if it's not the first game. New York brings speed to that line.
Yeah. Look, folks, by the way, we've heard you loud and clear because last year during our post games, we used to take calls. And then at one point we stopped. The calls have to be really good quality, folks, or else we're going to get rid of it again. All right. We want high quality calls, or else we're not going to take any. And you know what? You called for them, so we brought them back. So we're going to give you the number. We're not taking calls right now. But if you want to jump on a line, now's the best time to do it, because after it might be too late. It's a toll-free number. It's 1-888-585-7425. That's 1-888-585-SICK, S-I-C-K, 1-888-585-7425. If you want to jump on a line, jump on it now. All right, okay. Let's get to the score sheet in this game. First period, Mathieu Olivier, God love him.
Wow.
Assisted by Reese and Werenski. This guy scored his 7th goal of the season. And you know what? He could have had another one in this hockey game. I really liked the way this guy is developing as a hockey player. This guy used to be a goon on a 4th line. This guy can play a regular shift now. This guy's good.
He's a good hockey player, and he's good in his positioning. Obviously, his work ethic is unbelievable, but he goes to the net. He's good with his stick. I think his biggest quality is he's smart in his role, you know, like he's really tough, doesn't fight all the time for no specific reason. He doesn't hit everyone trying to hurt them every single time. He's just playing to get the puck back, you know, and he's a heavy guy. He wins his one-on-one battles, and I think he's improving every year. And you have to make to make a bid for him this summer. He's going to be a free agent. Hopefully he's a free agent, because I don't think Columbus, you don't want to let this guy leave with all the young guys you have. But anyways, if he's free, the Canadiens have to make an offer. I don't think you have choice.
Let's talk about the play. Werenski, Struble, and Barron are on the ice. Struble picks up one guy, and then Olivier should be Barron's guy. And Barron, Barron loses him for a second. Olivier goes to the net. I don't know what Barron's watching. The pass goes to Olivier, and he taps it by Caden Primo. And by the way, I saw on social media that Caden Primo was taking a lot of flack tonight. And I'm going to tell you something. He hasn't been perfect by any means. I've come pretty close to giving up, but I didn't think Caden Primo was at fault on any goal tonight. Now, you're going to tell me, did he look secure of himself? No. Did he look behind himself often? Yes. Is his confidence somewhat fragile? Yes. But Caden Primo stops Reese with less than 30 seconds to go in this game, a glove save.
Yeah.
That's the game right there.
100%. That was a good save.
Caden Primo, I thought he battled tonight. It looked shaky, but I don't think any of the goals were on him. So anyway, Olivier scores, left alone unattended, and then Slafkovsky picks up a loose puck on the left side and a wrister right by Elvis. And boy, just what the doctor ordered for Slav, eh?
Yeah, exactly. That's good timing for him. He needed that really big time. And what I like about what happens there is he shoots the puck. We've seen him in the last 2 years or year and a half, wanting to please the veterans and make a nice play or a nice pass. For me, that's a shot from a guy who has enough, and he's mad, and he's like, this puck is going in, and I like it. And I don't care about the goal, obviously. I care for him because it's important for the confidence when you're young.
Yeah.
But the reason he had a good game tonight, or a better game, is he stayed within his limits. He didn't try to skate coast to coast. He protected the puck, went to the net, won his one-on-one battles, played with a heavy stick, and shot the puck. Like what happened there on that goal. He was well positioned and shot the puck. So that's That's a huge step for him. And let's remember, last year his season was going nowhere. Everyone was talking about this is the worst pick ever. He should be in the minors, should not be in the NHL. It's just because Marty St. Louis. And Marty St. Louis stood up and said, this guy is going to stay here, and I want to work with him in the NHL. I don't know if you remember that. And he made a point and played him on the first line. And there was that one night in Buffalo, if my memory is right, he had that penalty shot or shootout goal at the end. He played a great game. He had a fight or something. And then, boom, everything switched from there. This is how fragile a hockey player's mind is. You just need one great game. You come back home, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you finally think you're a superstar. Yeah. This is like, I don't want to say it that way because I was exactly the same. This is how stupid we are. You get back home after a bad game, you think it's your last day in the NHL. You score one goal, you think you're going to sign an 8-year deal.
And in the second period, it was Fantilli to Janssen to Shinnikov, and Janssen with a real nice pass. Janssen found Shinnikov the same way that Evans found Heineman, with a real hard pass, and he's basically in full acceleration, and he blazes by, gets him behind Jaden Struble, who tries to catch up. He's in all alone on Primo, a quick wrister, far side. He puts Columbus up by a score of 2-1. Just over 2 minutes later, the Canadiens go on a power play. We talked about Slafkovsky. What a heads-up play. He sees Caulfield in behind the defense. He banks it off the boards right to Caulfield, who goes in alone. He puts it along the ice. Boom. That was a great play by Slafkovsky.
Exactly. Again, competing, well-positioned, heavy stick, great pass to a guy with good speed, reading the play. Hockey is like, you don't need a miracle to be good at hockey. It's a structure. It's about focus. And again, great. And we talked about this guy last night, and he's impressing me, Tony. He's probably the only young guy right now that I'm about to just say, you know what, we're good. Don't need to worry about this guy anymore. He's where he's supposed to be. Is Cole Caulfield. He's been there all year. He's been fast. He's been on the puck. He even finishes checks once in a while. He's dialed in. I like his attitude. He's never going to be the perfect defensive player. He's a goal scorer. I think he's somewhere now where he's supposed to be. He's off my my black book now. He's you can fly, Cole.
All right, okay. So because they won this game and they worked hard, and we saw a little bit from pretty much every line in tonight's game. These are the lines. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? These are the lines that go into New York and MSG on Saturday afternoon.
No choice. I don't like changing anything when you win hockey games.
Neither do I.
And the guys responded tonight. You know, like the reality is, doesn't matter how bad the season is going. They feel the heat. Like they know what's going on. They went there tonight. They played hard on the road. Second game in 2 nights. Good job.
Once again, what a power move by Emil Heineman, eh? He's really impressed me this year.
You remember what I told you that 2 weeks ago, Tony? I said I want this guy on the first line. You remember that? I said he's skating, he's physical. He's got something special, that kid, and I want to see him like for a long time with a real chance, because I don't like comparing players, and they're not the same players, but just so people have an idea where I think it's going. You think a guy like Lehkonen, you know, like he was in a third line, fourth line role. We never seen anything from him here in Montreal, but he was fast on the puck, working hard, never saying anything. I see a little bit of Lehkonen in Heineman. I think he's a fast guy. He's a smart guy. He means well. He's physical, big body. I like him. I like him a lot.
And he goes to Colorado, and most of the time, not all the time, they put him with Nathan MacKinnon, not because he has the skill set to be on that line, but because he has intangibles that will complement that line.
Exactly.
Right? All right. So good for him. A big power move by him. You see the smile after that. It's pretty cool. Canadiens got a little bit unlucky on the tying goal by Columbus because, of course, Werenski is looking for Marchenko. By the way, Marchenko's not on the score sheet tonight.
What a player.
He's got something, eh? Marchenko,
what a player.
He's not on the score sheet tonight, but he's big, he's strong, and he has a skill set.
I'm happy we've seen this type of game tonight, because everything we talked about last night, I feel like we see a lot of of that in the Columbus Blue Jackets team. You know, like you remember the speed, the young guys I was talking about. Like I see it in Columbus, and I think this team is going to be pretty good in a few years. Like they work hard, they're structured, they're fast. Like this is, and tonight we played with them, so that's a good news. But I think we're missing a little bit of that speed still, even if we played a faster game tonight.
Yeah, Chinnikov obviously has a ton of speed as well, and he can shoot the puck. Adam Fantilli is still young, and he's only going to get better. By the way, that's a team that is talking about trading Jiricek, who was drafted in the Slavkovsky draft. I think he went 6th overall. They're not too happy with him, and they sent him back down to the American Hockey League. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But I got to tell you, I really like Marchenko. I really like him. Voronkov, Chinnikov, they got speed and talent, like you said. All right. So before the game goes to overtime, though, there's a couple of things we have to talk about. One of them we just did, the Primo save off of Reese. That was a big stop. Christian Dvorak won a huge defensive zone faceoff versus Sean Monahan with 6 or 7 seconds left in the game, because Monahan wins that one. He won the first one. It went back to Zach Werenski, who tried to beat Primo short side. He made a save. And the second faceoff, Dvorak wins it. So he wins a big draw. And then they go to overtime. And once again, you know what? I'm happy the pass. I had tonight, the way Hudson was moving, I thought it was more difficult for him last night.
Back to back.
I thought he was going to score tonight. I had that feeling, he's looking for his first NHL goal. I'm like, you know what? I think it's going to come tonight. It didn't, but Lane Hudson was very, very good for the Canadiens, I thought, tonight.
Yeah, solid. And you know what? He's so impressive, because we were talking about him before he arrived here in Montreal, and I didn't know what to expect. I knew he was going to be spectacular with the puck and make some moves that you've never seen before. Right now, what I'm seeing is even if he doesn't get a point during a game, he still has a major impact, because he's so good. I think he's going to be really solid defensively. I think he's so smart. He gets there quick on his one-on-one battle. He's got a good stick, quick transition. And sometimes he's not on the scoreboard, but he always puts everyone in a better position to start a play. Like if you start a breakout with the puck in your skates, you're not going to do well when you enter the zone on the other side, or when you make the first pass on the power play or on the breakout. I feel like he sets everyone perfectly to build a play. He doesn't only set up people for goals or assists, to start building a play. And this is huge. Those are things like a lot of people don't see, but the coaches and the scouts and everyone in the NHL, they will see it, because he will make everyone better.
Jay Friedman on YouTube says Tony needs to give Marty a break. Jay, everyone else in the media is doing that, so I don't have to, right? So I could be alone on a pond, right? And everyone, hey, look.
Why would you be on the pond?
I give Marty credit when credit is due, and when I think that criticism is warranted, I criticize. That's the way it is. Nothing personal, folks. So it is what it is. Tonight, I told you that I like the fact that after they lost last night, he shook up the lines. He tried to get things going. He obviously caught the attention of his team. They came to work. So you know what? There's things I liked in this hockey game. Yesterday, you know what? His first night that he was putting Kirby Dach on a fourth line, he put him on the power play 42 seconds in. Sorry, I don't agree. Putting him on the ice in overtime, sorry, I don't agree. And by the way, that overtime shift he had was 1 minute and 28 seconds. The other night versus Vegas, who scored 3 goals in a span of 2 minutes and 17 seconds and not calling a single timeout, I'm sorry, I don't agree. So when I see things, I'm going to say them. And if you want everyone to cover for Marty, even when he doesn't coach his best game, you got that from pretty much all of your members of the media who were at the press conference. I'm sorry, listen to the press conference. Was he asked yesterday why Dach was on the power play after 43 seconds? No. Was he asked why Dach was on the ice in overtime? No. Was he asked against Vegas why he didn't call a timeout after conceding 3 goals in 2 minutes and 17 seconds? No. Was he asked on other occasions why he didn't call a timeout? No. Was he asked on other occasions if he had considered pulling Montembeault earlier? No. So, there's plenty of people that are giving Marty a pass, okay? You know what? I'll continue to be me, which is fair. I like it that way. I like being fair and not one-sided. Okay. Once again, we're going to get you like that or what? Have a smile for me. You like that?
Message received.
No, but is it appropriate or what? Am I?
You're right. You're right. I agree with you loving yourself, Tony.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Max sent me a text message earlier tonight. He said, we're the couple of the hour right now. I said, I hope so. That's nice. We're the couple of the hour tonight. All right. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay. We're going to get to your phone calls at 1-888-585-7425. 1-888-585-7425. Sammy and Yellow are taking your calls, and they'll let me know who's on which line, and we'll get to your calls. Not a problem. Not before I talk to you about Fruiterie de Lard, a family-run business and mainstay in the LaSalle community since 1995. And I mentioned this. I usually go pretty much every Saturday. Proud to continue offering the same fresh foods and flavors they have for the past 30 years. Fresh fruits and produce delivered daily. An ever-expanding assortment of deli meats. We're talking about prosciutto Parma, mortadella San Daniele, capicola Fontina, capicola Roma, turkey, chicken, amazing. Cheeses and sandwiches. You'll find personalized service and friendly faces that make you feel like family. Once again, it's Fruiterie de Lard on Rue de Lard, on Dillard Street in Ville-LaSalle. And if you want to get in a little action on the games on the weekend, go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Offer is only available for new customers only. Terms and conditions apply. Offer not available in Toronto. Must be 18 years old and over. And please play responsibly. Who are we going to get to in the calls? At 1-888-585-7425. 1-888-585-SICK. Whatever you want to talk about. Yesterday, it seems like you had a lot of questions in the comments, and tonight we'll be able to get to your calls. We'll also be able to get to some of your questions, which Sammy and Yellow will bring up some of your questions. If you have questions for Max Lapierre, we're going to get to them as well. Sick Podcast, Monday to Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We got Max in Montreal.
Hey, what's up? My name is Max. Today, I want to bring up two things. Maybe just one quickly. Has to do directly with this game. Justin Barron tonight, the -2, takes a bad penalty, like at a horrible timing on a, like we'll call it like a 1v1. Like that's his job, to defend the play like that. I saw like a suicide pass in the neutral zone. I think Olivier almost killed Suzuki. For me, whenever we traded for Barron, I was so excited. First round defenseman, right-handed. And I was almost like convincing some of my friends, like, yeah, it was worth it to give up Lehkonen. But at this point, it's been so long since I've seen him have like a decent game where like it at least just like passes the eye test. So I just want to ask, what do you guys think? Like, is it too late for this guy, for us to think that this guy could eventually replace David Savard, on the right side? Like, it looks to me like he made Struble struggle tonight, and like he should be a higher prospect than him.
Max, your thoughts on Justin Barron's performance tonight and overall with the Canadiens?
Well, I think I agree with you, Max. It was a tough one tonight, but two things. First of all, as a young guy in the NHL, it's not easy to get up from the hit he received from Trouba. I know it takes it doesn't take one game, it takes months. And the perfect example for me is Jake Evans. You remember the hit from Scheifele? It took years for him to become the player he's supposed to be. So that being said, there's no excuses in hockey. It was his mistakes tonight in front of the net, especially on that goal. But I still see a good prospect. He's a young D. He's a righty. Is he going to replace Savard? No, because that's not the same type of players at all, But I think he's a good skater. He sees the ice well, and he's going to benefit from playing on a team that is a ready team, you know, like he's good with the puck. You need guys that are skating, going to the net. Like I think he's a victim of playing on a team that is struggling right now. I'm not saying he's gonna be Chris Letang here. That's not what I'm saying, but I think he's gonna help a team in the NHL at one point.
Well, look, I say this, that I hear you coming off of that hit by Trouba. Before that, he wasn't overly convincing, but he just turned 23 a couple of weeks ago. He's still relatively young. He skates well. He's got offensive instincts. For me, I find he's still a timid defenseman. And once again, I understand your point about the hit, but even before that, I find that he loses battles. And I think he's the one that if the Canadiens move him, they'll be able to replace him in-house. I look, for example, I think Mailloux has a bigger ceiling as a right-handed defenseman, and I think even the left-handed defenseman, they probably don't have they probably don't have a bigger ceiling, but I think they're just more solid overall. So I was a difficult night at the office for Justin Barron. Thank you, Max, for your call.
Thanks,
Appreciate it. All right. Max calling Max. Okay. Is the next caller going to be Tony calling Tony? I don't know. We'll see. At 1-888-585-7425. 1-888-585-SICK. Max Lapierre is really something. Eh? He owns La Poche Bleue. He's a co-owner of La Poche Bleue. And they're on right now. At the same time, La Poche Bleue, Blanc, Rouge is on right now. Who's on right now? Is it André Roy with Eric Bélanger and Steve Bégin?
Yeah, exactly.
All three of them together?
All three of them, I think, tonight.
All right, okay. Stefano in Vancouver. If you find me and Max boring, by the way, you can watch La Poche Bleue. I'd rather you watch La Poche Bleue if you're not watching me than anything else. Stefano, what's going on?
Not much. How are you guys doing?
Very good.
How are you, Stefano?
Not too bad, Max. How about you?
Phenomenal.
So we're actually huge Habs fans.
Hey, Stefano.
And my brother and I.
Stefano.
Yeah.
Max sold his podcast for millions. How do you think he's doing?
He's doing great. I mean, we support him since Montreal, Vancouver, and I just think he's more phenomenal. He's a good partner. No offense to him, McGuire.
What's your question, Stefano?
Oh my God, there's so many questions. I'm like, this penalty that was on Josh Anderson, I'm like, that was okay. Let me think for a moment. I'm trying to think about that penalty that should have committed on Columbus. I'm like, why did Josh Anderson take the penalty instead?
Max, if you can, I didn't. I'm having a no. It's not that. I'm having a bad night with my Wi-Fi. I basically have it. I didn't hear 3/4 of it. Can you repeat the question?
I'm talking about that penalty that Josh Anderson committed. That he took the hit first, and then he took the tripping penalty.
Oh yeah, I remember that. He fell. Okay, he got cross-checked in the back and fell in the other guy's leg. Yeah, I feel like this year there's been a few games, and I'm doing a lot of other games at TVA Sports. The referees are not always dialed in as well. We were talking about the Habs last night. I feel like the referees sometimes they're having a few tough games, and if my memory is right, I was talking with someone in the NHL a few months ago, and they used to take referees that were referees their whole careers, and now there's a lot of guys that used to be hockey players and they just decide after their career to become refs. And obviously sometimes there's a big difference in making a call, because that's it's not because you're a good skater or hockey that you're going to do the right call at the right time, because it's all about feel, right?
Yeah, I get it.
Last night, by the way, tonight was a much better officiated game than last night, because I think last night both teams felt that they probably could have had 3 or 4 more calls, especially the Montreal Canadiens, who at one point saw Utah going to the power play, and then the power play, and the power play, and the power play. On to another call. Where are we going exactly? Thank you, Stefano, for the call. Tony is in Montreal. So we had a Max call Max, and now we're going to have a Tony call Tony. Tony, go ahead. What's on your mind?
That's right. Hey, Tony. Hi, Max. Great.
Hello.
Hi, Max.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Yourself? Great show,
Yeah.
by the way. Max,
Thank you.
quick
Yeah.
Question for you. For you. As a coach, before you implement any team tactics and yes. Hi, Tony. Hi, Max. Great show. A question. Yes, Max. Quick question for you. As a coach, before you, good yourself.
I think we lost him. Did we lose him?
I think it was the recording of him.
Did we lose him? You know what? I don't. Once again, my Wi-Fi tonight. It's not a great night. Very unfortunately, it was a very difficult night. Even with the feed, I was losing my feed off. Was coming back, losing my feed. It was coming back, and I ended up watching it on my phone for the most part. But anyway, I heard him actually say the same things over and over again a couple of times. Tyler is in New Brunswick. Tyler, you there?
Yes, sir.
I hear you better. What's on your mind?
Not too much, man. Just like looking to talk to Tony and Max about Logan Mailloux.
Okay, will you hold on 5 seconds and we'll get Tony?
Oh, I think I'm coming through.
Can you hold on 5 seconds and I'll get you Tony?
Yes, sir.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We go to Tyler in New Brunswick. Tyler, welcome to the Sick Podcast. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Tony? How are you, man?
Doing well. How are you, man? Good to talk to you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just wondering. Also, by the way, Max is an absolute legend. Loved watching him playing for the Habs.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
Anytime, brother. What I was gonna ask is, man, how much does Logan Mailloux have to prove before he comes up and gets a actual shot with the big team, man? He's a big body and he's like killing it offensively, and he looks like he's cleaning up his game. Just wanted to hear what you guys thought about him.
It's a good question. I mean, he's dominating in the AHL, obviously. So I wish I could see him a little more in the NHL, but sometimes you just got to trust the organization because they don't just do bad stuff, you know, like if there's a reason why he's there, and it doesn't always mean that they don't like what they're seeing on the ice. And I'm not saying anything about off ice. I have no idea what he does off ice, if he's okay or not okay. But my point is, it's not always related to how you play in your own zone or how you play defensively. There's always a plan for each and every player, and it's always different. I don't know what the plan is for him, but offensively he's fine. He's dominating, but there's for sure there's something they don't like, and the day he's going to fix it is going to be right up.
Max, I think Logan Mailloux has to just put in his head that if he's going to be in the National Hockey League, he's going to have to make a commitment to want to play defense as well. I find when he's out there, he's approaching it almost with a pond hockey mentality, that he's always thinking of the attack, or let's trade chances if we have to. I think that they can keep him down for a little while. I think he needs to work on his reads. I think he needs to get more repetitions, more touches, more of a commitment to play defense, and more consistency. If he can put it all together, it's a really impressive hockey package. Thank you for your call. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's see where we're going now. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Hello to everyone in New Brunswick. Never been there, but love to go down one time. All right, where are we going exactly? We are going to at 1-888-585-SICK. 1-888-585-7425. Let's go to Andrew. Andrew, you're on the line with me, Marinaro, and Maxim Lapierre. What's going on?
Tony and Max, great to be on with you guys. Fan of the show, might not always agree, but I definitely agree more than I don't. And I wanted to call about all of the times I'm hearing about Marty St. Louis and the fan base and social media. And I understand, great point by Max last night talking about, hey, you've been the coach for a few years. We saw what happened with Montgomery, obviously, great career, or great numbers with the Bruins, and obviously still gets fired. But at what point do people realize that the coach is part of the rebuild as well, and that sometimes the players are developing and, you know, they're going through it as well? And I understand there's certain things people want to see from the team under the coach, but I feel like it's a little bit ridiculous sometimes the coach always gets the blame when He can't score the goals. He can't get the assist. He can't score when Lane Hudson puts the puck on Newhook's tape and he doesn't put it in. That's not Martin St. Louis' fault. So I'm curious what you guys think, because to me, next year is the year for St. Louis with Demidov, a healthy line. How do you feel overall about the fan base and the way they see St. Louis right now? Because I feel like they're really turning on him, and I don't like that very much.
Okay, perfect. Andrew, I'd love to answer this right before giving the mic to Max, okay? I think you asked a fantastic question, and I think you brought up some really good points, but personally, you lost me a little bit with the whole that he can't score the goals and he can't do this and he can't do that. I've never liked that argument, okay? Because with that kind of logic, coaches don't exist in hockey. You don't need them. You don't exist in soccer. You don't need them. You understand? So you had me. You had me for the most part, okay? Now, you raise a really good point. I had this conversation with a buddy of mine, Rob, earlier today, who actually called me and said, but the problem is, he says to me, Tony, he says, Marty St. Louis is part of the rebuild, and the way all of the young players are learning, he's learning on the job too, whether people like it or not. He's a relatively inexperienced coach who's learning, making mistakes and learning through those mistakes. And I said, Rob, perfect point, right? Perfect. Now, Caulfield's young. Suzuki's young. Slavkovsky's young. Doc is young. Lane Hudson is young. I mean, go on the list. They have a lot of young players. When those players have bad reads, bad touches, bad efforts, bad performances, bad decisions, do we say it? Yes. Even though it's a rebuild, we say it. Why should it be any different for the coach, Andrew?
Well, can I respond, Tony?
Yeah, of course you can.
So I really like the answer, and I understand that's kind of the proper answer that you would give back to what I'm saying, and I get it. But the factor is that I feel like people kind of more so will go after, okay, Doc, we've had enough with him after the injury. We're not seeing enough. Okay, Slavkovsky, whatever. I'm talking about large scale, overall picture, right? Every post-game show, every radio, every whatever media group will pick a player, right? Pick a defenseman, pick a play that they've seen. What I'm talking about is I don't think if Stan Bowman coached the team last night, he gets a win. He gets a better performance out of Kirby Dach. You know what I mean? And I'm not just coming on here and calling to protect.
I don't think so either, because Stan Bowman's a GM, so I don't think he'd make a very good coach. But Scotty would probably win it, though.
Sorry.
I'm kidding. I'm just playing with you. But Max, would you like to answer?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I've been one of the guys saying that the players have to be accountable at one point, starting with Burroughs last year with the power play. When everyone was complaining, I think the players have to take charge. We always talk about guys being young and becoming leaders, but the reality is these guys were leaders on their junior teams and NCAA, and they've played hockey their whole life. When you sit in the NHL in the dressing room, it's not the first time you hear about winning a one-on-one battle or respecting the system or blocking shots and work hard. So this is, and you're right, this is the player's job to work hard and show up. I think we're pretty hard on Marty St. Louis, but he took that role of protecting his players since day one. And sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. This is what I'm going to say to people that are all over Marty St. Louis, and I think it's an easy choice to pick the coach in a big organization like that. But if I had the choice to take a young player and have him have a discussion one-on-one with a coach in the NHL at this stage in a rebuild, I would rather a guy like Caulfield or a guy like Slavkovsky have a coffee with Marty St. Louis than a coach that never played hockey but won because of his structure, just because of where we're at in the rebuild. In 5 years, it's a different story in 5 years. But if Cole Caulfield is talking with a Hall of Famer that has a very, very special road to the NHL, he's not just Wayne Gretzky that just destroyed every league. He was a guy that's undrafted, cut in Calgary, traded for nothing, made the team as a fourth liner, became a Hall of Famer, won the Stanley Cup. This is the guy I want to teach my kids, and that's the first step in the rebuild. We'll see later.
Yeah, Max, I think that's a great point. I want to add this. So, for example, right, if I'm going to point out like some areas where Marty dropped the ball, all right, for example, one of the things that I could find maybe frustrating is Marty's reluctance to call a timeout. Okay, so Marty, for example, I think we've seen that for the most part, he doesn't like calling timeouts early on in hockey games because he'll use the TV timeouts instead, and he likes to keep the timeout in his back pocket to maybe use it by the end of the game. But by that time, the game is pretty much over. Then he doesn't have to use it, and he doesn't end up using it. You see, that's stubbornness, though. You understand? Like so that will get to me, and I'll point it out. But if I agree with you. So Marty is learning on the job, and that's going to bother a lot of people because this is the Montreal Canadiens, right? You're not supposed to be learning on the job with the Canadiens. But because of where they are in the rebuild, I agree with Max. I endorse the hiring at the beginning, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to question certain things. Like we've been told about the development for 3 years now. Is the development better on every single player? Now, maybe it won't be, and maybe it's going to be up and down, and that's normal. But when there's times where it doesn't look like the players are developing, I think it's something that we need to talk about as well. The extended shifts, those are things in Marty's control. Maybe because of his lack of experience, sometimes it probably goes a little bit fast. I think we can all understand that. But there's certain things that if they're not doing right, like those extended shifts, like Max, you talked about it yesterday, right? There are a lot of shifts at 58, 59, 57, 56. You said, Tony, in the National Hockey League, you can go all out max for 45 seconds. More than that, you're
yeah, but again, Tony, that's on the players. Like they're young, but they're not babies. Like it's the NHL. It's a pretty simple mathematic calculation here. You go all out, you're tired, you change, but they don't go all out. So again, it falls on Marty St. Louis, but they should not. Like, do you think like a championship team has to worry about that stuff? The guys are all out and they change. So the coach is not like you cannot look at the coach and say, why are your guys on the ice for a long time? They work.
Appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right. Okay. Someone says, I disagree with Tony. Scotty Bowman probably win maybe 3-4 more games a year with this roster, not more. Well, it's hypothetical. We'll never know. But I would be willing to bet that maybe Scotty could probably win a couple of games per month more. All right. So anyway, maybe that still doesn't get you into the playoffs, but it doesn't matter. I think it's besides the point. Okay. Back to the phone lines we go. Where are we going exactly? Let's go to Dave in Prince George. What's going on, Dave?
Hi, great show, guys.
Thank you.
One question I have is, do you know if they were playing that hybrid defensive system last year?
They're trying to manage it a little bit differently, but like to be honest, like I hate when I eat like everything I'm hearing about the system, hybrid, man-to-man, like they've changing. Reality is most of the teams in the NHL, they play zone or overload. But every time the puck is at the point, it becomes a man-on-man. You have no choice. So if a D-man has the puck, you have to take a man because you want to box him out when there's going to be a shot. So most of the teams at one point, they play man-on-man. When you're saying hybrid this year, what they're trying to do is when the puck stops. So let's say you're chasing a guy, you pit him around, against the wall, and the puck is stopped. Then everyone comes in. You want one more player than the other teams. This is why they're saying hybrid. They're playing man on man until the puck is stopping. Then they change to their second option. But were they playing the same thing last year? You know what? It's tough to say because they were not figuring out the system at all so far. So you cannot even tell unless you're talking with the coaches and you see the real plan they're having. Because until they're playing perfectly, it's really tough to say. Right now, you're seeing sometimes though that they're playing better because they're working harder. Because man on man is a game of working hard and being disciplined. If you're tired, you cannot play man on man.
You're right. And when you just said, when the puck stops, they're looking for a numerical advantage there. They're looking for guys to be able to outnumber the other team, to jump on that loose puck and be able to, gain puck possession and be able to go from there. 1-888-585-SICK, 1-888-585-7425 is the number to call. As you can see, folks, we are taking calls basically all over Canada. As a matter of fact, it looks like we're going to the United States now. Are we going to Nick in Las Vegas?
Well, it's Mick with an M, like in Mike, but it's Mick. Mikael.
Okay. Are you in Vegas?
Yeah, I'm in Vegas.
All right. Okay. Well, Max Lapierre will be happy to hear that, because once upon a time, he told me that if he was going to ever move, he wanted to move to Vegas. I don't know if he's changed his opinion on that, but I think he told me that once.
No, my question is, why are you calling us from Vegas instead of partying right now?
No, listen, guys. I moved to the States a couple years ago, but I still listen to. I don't get RDS and TBS Sports, so I just I listen to YouTube. I get BPM Sports in the morning, and I get the Sick podcast at night. So it's great.
Thank you. Do you speak? So you obviously, if you listen to BPM Sports, you speak French and understand French.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
okay, so add Maxim Lapierre and Guillaume Latendresse's La Poche Bleue. Add that to your repertoire.
Well, I tried to listen to most of it. I used to listen to On Jazz as well, but yes, BPM Sports is quite entertaining these days.
Thank you. Once again, La Poche Bleue. Also add that to your playlist. All right. Okay, go ahead. Your question is.
Hey, for me, this is what I'm thinking. Since I kind of had given up by the time they were going to play the Buffalo game, and then they ended up winning that game, and then I think they beat the Jackets, and then they went on to beat or they lost to the Wild. And my thinking is, since that Buffalo game, they're doing quite well. We lost we kind of went crazy against Vegas, and then again last night against Utah. But overall, since the Buffalo game, things have been doing much better. I wonder if you agree with that. We locked down defensively and all that. We talked about the locksmith. If we think about it, we're going the right direction since the Buffalo game. Do you agree?
I think we're like, it started in Minnesota. I think when we lost that game, we started to see an improvement in the defensive zone. Like I 100% agree with you. We're improving in that department, but for me, when I look at a game, I just don't look at the defensive zone. There's so many things, so many one-on-one battles, and it always depends on the team standards too, right? Like if you play an okay game, but you got better defensively and you're happy about it, that's okay if that's the standards on your team. But if you're looking for where the Canadiens were supposed to be, and this is them saying they were supposed to be in the mix, which is you're fighting for a playoff spot, then this is not what we're looking for. Yes, we're playing better defensively in our zone, but what about the forecheck? What about the set plays on faceoffs? What about the power play? What about the PK? What about the neutral zone? What about the backtracking? What about taking a bad penalties? There's so many things to. It's basically like a scorecard at school. You can be unbelievable in French, but if you're terrible in mathematics, history, whatever you name it, then you're not that happy about your overall mark, right?
Special teams are good this year. Special teams are very good this year. I like what I'm seeing. Yep. Kent Hughes had said that they wanted the number to total over 100. I think the last time I checked it was about 103 or 104. So I think they're doing a really good job. I think they're blocking shots on the penalty kill. I think Josh Anderson is actually doing well on the penalty kill. Jake Evans does really well. Christian Dvorak, not too shabby. Caden Gooley's really, really been battling. Really like him. So you know what? I like the special teams. The problem that I have is the inconsistency in the effort, and it seems like every now and then not every now and then, but when they lose, I see a tendency to give up sometimes, and that's happened quite a bit. It happened especially in the game versus Seattle. It happened especially in the game versus Vegas. It happened especially in the game versus the Rangers. It happened about 3 or 4 games that when they lost big, and they kind of gave up, and that bothers me. Other than that, it's.
But if you Yeah.
Other than that, it's a below. It's just a slightly below average team with below average stats in the standings, and so that's where you would probably expect them to be. Thank you so much for your call.
Okay.
Max and I will look you up if we're ever in Vegas. Nick, on the strip right now as we speak. All right, okay.
Lucky.
All right, okay. Before we get to the next call, and we have Anthony, I want to tell everyone about Peau Montreal, PEAU Montreal.com. Check it out. 2 locations, downtown Montreal and the West Island. Dr. Manish Khanna uses the latest cosmetic technologies for laser services, injections, fillers, body contouring, facial treatments. Check out Peau Montreal on Instagram at Peau Montreal. You can give them a call tomorrow at 514-989-7328, or whenever you're watching this, you can give them a call. If you're not watching this tonight and you're going to watch it tomorrow, but you can give them a call when they're open, obviously. Sammy's Gala, save the date, Saturday, April 5th. I want to let everyone know about that as well. Saturday, April 5th is Sammy's Gala. It's a fundraiser with all proceeds going to cure SMA, spinal muscular atrophy. And I think we're going to have a lot of people from the Sick Podcast there, and I hope to see you there. We're going to Anthony. Anthony, you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Thank you.
Anthony's in Montreal. Anthony, whereabouts in Montreal?
Hochelaga.
Hochelaga. All right. Okay, Anthony, I think you're going to be the last call of the evening. Anthony, go ahead. What's on your mind?
Ooh. Slavkovsky. Guys, I was wondering, are you concerned about his development, about the way that he progressed? Because he's a first-round pick, and now I'm watching the game Sharks against Ottawa, and I'm seeing Celebrini. I'm seeing, even when he was his first year, you can see the edge and the X factor of a first rounder. And I'm starting to be worried about Slavkovsky. I understand he played a good game tonight, but there's some concern about what he can bring long term. He played the last half of the season last year. He was good, but there's consistency issues with him. Or you guys are worried about him and the fact that we gave him a lot of money early on like that?
Not one bit. And I said it last year on Tony's podcast, and I'm going to say it again this year. Even if you went well at the end of the season, close the book, the Slavkovsky book, put it at the end of the table, and open it back in 5 years. Because this is the reality of a young 18 years old that has this type of game. He's a big physical guy, and we need to be patient. He didn't play a lot of games in the NHL, and I'll talk about the second point you mentioned. Like, you're watching Celebrini. Obviously, he's a fantastic player, but every draft year is different. And last year you were comparing like a different type of players. There wasn't any generational players. There wasn't any Bedard or McDavid or even Celebrini if he plays like that. That it was a different draft year, and Slavkovsky got picked first for a reason. It's not about one guy. It's not Kent Hughes that picked Slavkovsky. It's about 50, 60 people that work all year and watch thousands of games. So there's a reason why they picked that guy first, right? And I'm not saying they cannot be wrong, because you can have a bad draft pick once in a while, but we cannot start thinking because we were bad drafting for a few years that it's always going to be like that in Montreal. He's a big body. He's a perfect complement for two skills guys, and the day he's going to come back and feel better about himself and play with Suzuki and Caulfield, he's going to be right back where he was last year.
Max, I know a lot of people like still the bridge contracts after the entry-level contract. Some people even like 2 bridges after the entry-level contract. I say this. I say if you're certain of what you have, or not even certain because you're never certain, but if you've come to a consensus, I'm of the theory that I believe in locking up the player to the 8-year deals. If you want to get rebuilds done properly, you cannot afford to have players on bridges and then maybe at one point, you know what, they say, I wanted the long term, you gave them the bridge, they end up signing, but they're not happy, and then all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. I think you need to secure your players when you're sure about them. Suzuki was secured by Marc Bergevin. Caulfield was secured by, and I'm talking about the contract, by Kent Hughes. Slavkovsky by Kent Hughes. Caden Gooley by Kent Hughes. I think this is what you do. I think you secure it to long-term contracts. So I agree with that.
Second thing, Tony, like you need to measure all this next year. Because the value of his contract right now is $800,000, if I'm right? Something around there.
Yes.
Well, that's his contract this year. Doesn't matter about next year, right? This year is supposed to be worth, and what he brings to the team is supposed to be worth $800,000.
Hey, before we take one more call, because I said it was the last call, and Yellow wants me to take one more. I guess someone was on for a while, so we'll respect that.
Yep.
Brendan Gallagher once again, taking some shots tonight from Werenski, goes up against a bigger man. Threw some, took some, Paul Bissonnette style with those 6 guys in Arizona. But isn't that something though, eh? Brendan Gallagher, God love him, man. So much respect.
He's a gamer. That's it. Like he's showing up every night. That's fun to watch. And you know what? Like, good for him, because 2 years ago, like you were one. Like I was personally wondering if he could play in this league for a few more years. And I don't know what if changed. 100%. This guy works so hard. He probably changed his routine, changed the way he eats or whatever he trains, and he's right back where he's supposed to be.
I remember receiving a call once when I was doing sports radio in English, and a gentleman called and said, "Man, Brendan Gallagher is finished. He's finished," and that was about. Like, I would say maybe about 3.5 years ago. And I said,
"You look finished, Tony."
And I said, "No, he's not." And I gave him the benefit of the doubt because he's got so much heart. But there were times after that where I was wondering if that guy was right and if I was wrong. And look, I've said that it's been laborious. Sometimes it looks very laborious. I don't know what he did in the offseason. He seems to be in better shape. He seems to have more jump. He seems to be like revitalized or rejuvenated. It's really nice to see. And man, you don't like to see him take punches like that, but what a warrior. Good for him. One last call, Sahid in Boston. Sahid, what's going on?
How's it going, Tony? How's it going, Max?
Have you ever gone to the Daily Catch on Hanover in the North End?
Not. I moved out here in April, so I will give it a shot.
You got to go to the Daily Catch. They kind of like cook in the pan, and then they serve you the pan, and you eat your seafood out of the pan. It's a little place. They don't even have a bathroom in the place, but it's kind of unique. It's kind of unique. Yeah. You got to check it out. The Daily Catch in Boston.
So what do? You pee in the pan as well, or?
I don't know what people do. Sahid, go ahead. What's your question?
Yeah, my friends, I have a question about Patrick Laine. So, we know the guy is traveling with the team on this road trip, okay? Now, one of the points that Max brought up about the lineup today, which I agree with, is we put, I don't want to call them lazy, but let's call them finesse guys. So we put the finesse guys with an energy guy on each line. Now, my question is, what do you do with Laine? Do we have to drop like a Joshua who just came up? Because if I see Emil Heineman come out of the lineup, I'm gonna lose it. So what I want to know is, what do you do with the lineup? Like, who gets dropped? And I want us to be mindful also of, like, you know, we need guys who have to play on the PK, obviously, also. So you can't just drop an Armia. So, yeah, basically I want to know who do we put with Laine and where does he play in the lineup?
I think there's something bigger coming, because the reality is he's coming back. Hervé Pinard is going to come back. So there's starting to be a lot of forwards here. And if Roy is playing well, you're going to have to take a decision at one point. I feel like Patrick Laine, though, like, if you want to see what he's got, play him with the best players. And right now, like, I would not be shy to put him with Suzuki and Caulfield. Like, if Slavkovsky plays well with someone else, I want to see Slav there, obviously, but you want to test him. If you take Patrick Laine and start him on the fourth or third line or fourth and third liners, he needs the puck. He needs to play with smart people. Like, he's a good hockey player. I don't think he's going to be right up there like he used to be, like first game, but just give the guy an honest chance. He's a veteran. He deserves to have that type of chance because he proved that he can score goals in the NHL. So for me, it would be right on the top six right away.
Yeah, I would put him right away. I think, look, everyone seems to play well with Evans, but I get it. You probably don't want to put him with Evans. But if you put him with Suzuki, he's going up against the top lines right away and the top defense duo. So I can understand the argument not to do that either. Having said that, I think Suzuki is the best playmaking centerman that they have. If you put him with him, though, I'm not so sure I want to see Cole Caulfield on that line to start, because those are your two best shooters, and now you're putting your two best shooters on the same line. I can also see the benefit to that, because the other team could be thinking they're going to pass it to that guy. They watch that guy, and then the other guy's open and he scores. But if the other team ends up neutralizing that line, you end up being a pretty easy team to beat. But then again, they're in a rebuild, and I just want to see. I want to see work ethic, and I want to see. I want to see some creativity. I want to see scoring chances, and you know what? I saw that tonight. So I'm happy. Even if they would have lost, it's good. I
like your style, Tony. If you're happy, we're happy.
I'm very happy. Okay. And now I'm going to go upstairs, and my wife's going to be upset at me, and then I'm not going to be happy anymore. That's another story for another day.
Why would she be unhappy right now?
No, she's not. I'm just kidding. Okay. Everything good? We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be right back tomorrow morning.
No. Tomorrow, I'm talking to you in the Taverne Hockey segment.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Yeah,
just leave me alone at one point this week.
Okay, tomorrow, what time does La Poche Bleue start at?
8:05.
8:05 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.
Jean Perron, Pascal Leclerc, Pierre-Cédric Labrie, Tony Marinaro.
PC is Patrick's son-in-law, is he not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He loves hockey, great guy. Played in Tampa, played with me in Berlin. Knows he's coaching St. Lawrence in college. He's a coach now, so.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him. Fantastic. Yeah, I was on with him last time. I never met him before. Seems like a great guy. Tough guy, yeah. Tough guy.
Oh, wow. Heavyweight. Yeah. You don't know about, he was a heavyweight in the NHL?
Yeah, well, he didn't play many games, eh? But I knew he was a tough guy, but I mean, you would know how tough he is. I wouldn't know.
Heavyweight.
All right. Seems like a really good guy. Yeah. Okay. We'll look forward to it. We'll see you tomorrow night, La Poche Bleue, in the segment of Hockey, 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. And of course, then we'll be on at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, the Sick Podcast. Our guest tomorrow will be Craig Button, TSN hockey analyst and their director of scouting. Special thanks to all of you, and special thanks to all of our sponsors. Special thanks to everyone watching on YouTube and on Facebook Live. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do so. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple. We work really hard. It's our way of feeling the love. For Niello and Sammy and Master Control, I'm Marinaro. The Canadiens heard what Maxim Lapierre had to say last night. They worked. They skated. They worked. They skated. And guess what? They won. And yes, the captain responded. He scores the winner in overtime. Talk to you tomorrow. Cheers.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. LaBita.tb. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.